I think we are a go. Welcome to the Impact Play, impacting more than just gaming. Our focus is simply to make a positive impact that reaches out beyond just the gaming space, and to bring positivity into a much clearer perspective. Be a part of the live show Sundays at 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time at twitch.tv/the Impact Play, or later on YouTube, or even on your favorite podcast platform such as Apple Podcast, Overcast, Google Podcast, Pandora, and so much more. Just simply type in the Impact Play. Moving forward, we are diversifying the show and putting the spotlight on people of color, video game developers, content creators, and overall people of impact. If you know someone that you believe would be a perfect fit to make a guest appearance on the show, reach out to us on social or even via email to contact@theimpactplay.com. I am your host, Itziaku, and this is episode 65. On the agenda, the Impact Play cast discuss Microsoft's acquisition of Bethesda Studios' parent company, ZeniMax. What exactly is Amazon's Luna? Is Google Stadia bringing indie games onto their platform? And more. Okay, we are kind of experimenting with something new in the podcast. We said this before that we're gonna do some sort of animal live talk show in a sense. So we actually gone ahead and we're actually testing this feature out. As you can see, I have my character in the background with the Animal Crossing. And this is my in-game studio. And I am making a few adjustments to the stream as we go along. If there are any issues, be sure to let me know in chat. So without further ado, let us begin with the games that we have been playing with the first segment of the show. So I've been doing a mix of Super Mario 3D All-Stars and Call of Duty Mobile. If you haven't been attention to my stream at twitch.tv/Itziagu, ITSYAGOOH. I've been doing a lot of ranked and Call of Duty Mobile, a lot of multiplayer. Those are the most that I tend to enjoy most. And I've been doing on and off streams in regards to Super Mario 3D All Stars. It's definitely a great stream. I'm sorry, it's definitely a great mash of these great games. Like I've been playing the first game in that compilation of games is Super Mario Nintendo 64, if I'm not mistaken. And it's definitely something new. It's a new experience for me because I'm not a fan of like haven't played any platformer games, and this is definitely a platformer. So it's definitely a new experience for me. It's definitely a little hard due to me not not playing them, but the more I go into it, the more I enjoy it, and the more I know what I'm doing. Like if you notice the first stream, I did not know what I was doing, to be honest. Even like the second stream, I was like doing a lot better, but still. And there's one thing I kind of wanted to bring up. Actually, before we go into the news segment, let me find that tab real quick. Nope, that's not it. Nope. Oh, it's a pretty much about Black Widow's being delayed until 2021, until next year. So COVID is definitely having an impact on a lot of things, gaming, entertainment, what have you. Like it's definitely making everything more difficult. So let's go on to the news segment. The hot topic of it all is Xbox buying Bethesda's parent company ZeniMax for $7.5 billion. So everybody was complaining about Xbox doesn't have any games and what have you, and they just made this humongous move that nobody really expected, and Microsoft to shell out this much money for a whole bunch of studios and a whole bunch of IPs and technologies to integrate into their ecosystem. I know I've been seeing a lot of uncertainty in regards to this deal about what does this mean for Bethesda titles in regards to other platforms and so on. So Bethesda is definitely now an Xbox first studio, meaning that all of their games, current games, and new IPs are coming to Microsoft and are definitely going to be on Game Pass day one. like Fallout, not Fallout, Doom right now is on Game Pass. So it's definitely a humongous move that nobody saw coming. And it's not, they're looking at this on the long term because they're so invested into Game Pass, and what Game Pass was pretty much lacking is high profile games. And with this purchase, they have all these IPs, all these new IPs that are coming out will be on Microsoft, will be exclusively on Microsoft ecosystem and the Xbox ecosystem, and on Game Pass, on cloud streaming. You'll be able to play it regardless of where you want to play it, as long as you're part of their ecosystem, whether that be console, PC, or cloud gaming. You can simply enjoy it wherever you go, essentially. And what I've been seeing is, oh, Microsoft is not going to go against the philosophy of bringing these games on all these other platforms. And the main thing is about Sony. First of all, Sony is not their main competitor. Microsoft couldn't care less. Their main competitors are Amazon and Google. Google with Google Stadia and Amazon with the Luna. We'll go into that further as we go along with the show. Sony is not their competitor. They couldn't care less about console sales. They care, but their main focus is the long-term game. So Amazon and Google are their competitors in Microsoft's eyes. Sony only cares about short term. That's why they haven't made any changes, or they may haven't introduced a direct competitor to Microsoft's cloud gaming platform or ecosystem. And what if Sony or Google or even Amazon made this went out and purchased ZeniMax? We wouldn't be going through this debate if any other company ended up buying them. But as soon as Microsoft bought them, oh no, it's anti-consumer, it's blah blah blah. They won't miss out on making all this money on the PlayStation, but they couldn't care less. Like I said, Sony is not their direct competitor. It's Amazon and Google. Those are the three main companies that are going as far as going against each other, being competitive with one another in all their spaces. That's why Amazon is coming into the gaming space. Google is in the gaming space. Why? Because they're trying to go into each other's spaces and trying to bring even more competition and take more of the market. So let's go into this further. Oh, actually, yeah, I wanted to talk about Bethesda. I know they're working on new IP, so a new Fallout 76, a new Doom, a new Elder Scrolls, and their rumored IP is what's that one that's coming out? Starfield, the new space RPG. All that is not gonna come to Sony. Maybe Nintendo if they're lucky, but it's gonna be exclusive to the Xbox ecosystem. Why? They wouldn't have went out and spent all this money just to bring out these games and all the new IPs to other platforms. They would have just easily partnered with them, as they did with EA, bringing it to Game Pass. But they went ahead and spent $7.5 billion. Why? Because they're focused on the long-term game. They're focused heavily on Game Pass and heavily on their ecosystem to bring exclusives on their ecosystem. There's no argument there. It's just because Microsoft made that move, people go ahead and made these baseless counter arguments. Just if any other company bought them, they wouldn't be saying they wouldn't be singing that same tone. And even Phil said it in an interview with CNBC that it's going to be on a case by case basis, which is no way that they're going to bring all this new, like all these current IPs that are on these platforms and all these exclusives that are coming out to the PlayStation 5 are going to stay there. Their deals are going to the same place, but they have no, what's the word that I'm looking for? They don't owe Sony anything to keep that deal in place. They can easily they can easily go behind that and say, okay, that's it. We're not offering those games on Sony PS5. They can easily bring it over to Xbox. But Phil said in his interview with CNBC, those deals that were in place before Microsoft bought them are going to stay in place. And all these new games are going to be on a case by case basis, but still, they're focused heavily on their own ecosystem. Like there's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. And Microsoft has a new Xbox app for iOS that features remote game streaming from your console. So this is a way around it. In the meantime, for the short term, or the long term, cloud gaming will be everywhere on iOS, on Samsung TV devices, on your smart TV, what have you. You'll be able to play your games wherever you are, essentially, as long as you're part of the Xbox ecosystem. Okay, let's see what else we got for you guys. We talked about that. What's this? Okay, I guess we'll go on to the Stadia. Stadia is bringing more indie titles over to a Stadia platform. And what I just noticed recently was that Stadia is based on the the Linux OS, which makes game development a lot more difficult. That's why all these games. That's why there are only a limited amount of games coming to the Stadia, and on top of that, all these new games are the reason why it's not coming to Stadia day on day one of their launch is simply because it's hard to bring their games onto Stadia because they're Linux based. But they have a couple of games that were announced on their Stadia makers. So I'll announce them as follows. Have Death Carnival, Pigment, Creed Valley, Kays and the Wild Masks, Natal Typing Chronicles, The Dark Side Detective Season 2, Tahu, and Onto the End. They're all essentially coming next year. Like I said, because it's difficult to develop games onto Stadia, to bring games onto Stadia. Why? Because they want to, instead of taking Amazon's approach where it's Windows OS based, they went ahead and did Linux OS, which just makes it so hard for developers to make great games or even to port their games over onto Stadia. And speaking, let's go back to Xbox. Xbox Game Pass has more than 15 million subscribers, and this was let me see what day was this published. Was it? So yeah, September 21st, so about 6 days ago. And now there's going to be even more subscribers. And the day that Bethesda's deal was, and as soon as they announced that deal, it was 24 hours before the pre-order of the next generation consoles, the Xbox Series X and the Xbox Series S consoles. They did that on purpose to bring more people onto their platform that weren't initially intrigued or weren't going to go purchase an Xbox originally. So it's a nice strategy that they're doing now. Everything's on the long term. Okay, and speaking of Xbox, we have 8 new details. Because people were saying, "Oh, it's not going to be the full on hardware," and of course, it's Xbox Series X and what have you. So they will offer the X and the S offer the same core experience while allowing developers to scale games to work on both models. Games on the Xbox Series X should be around 30% smaller than their Xbox Series X equivalents due to texture resolutions, 4K, and what have you. Microsoft doesn't think the Series S will limit developers as the console generation goes on because of how the core capabilities are the same between the two consoles, as well as a number of options developers have to allocate resources on the console. While the console aims for a 1440p resolution, it's capable of uploading a full 4K signal, and developers can choose to use that capability if they wish. They can also output a lower resolution in order to utilize more complex graphical effects. Xbox Series S and X will launch with Dolby Visual supports for Netflix, Disney Plus, and Vudu, with Dolby Vision support for games coming to both consoles. The Xbox Series X is capable of running the same ray tracing effects as the Xbox Series X, rather than a limited version. But it's all up to developers at the end of the day. Microsoft has no plans to stop support for the Xbox Series S later in the generation, because it is a family of devices of the next generation. Okay, Ronald reiterated that while the Xbox Series S will not run on the Xbox One X enhanced games, it will apply its own improvements to last generation titles. Okay, now let's go on to the next news story of the day, or should I say the week. Blizzard announces BlizzCon online for February 2021. With the ongoing COVID-19 pandemic, all hopes of BlizzCon taking place in person this year were thwarted months ago. But if you've been looking forward to updates on its games, the developer will now be hosting BlizzCon online on February 19th through the 20th. It'll take place 2 days with the hosted events being conducted remotely, as it's usually it's pretty much BlizzCon, but remotely essentially. So there won't be any physical convention. Okay. So in regards to the PlayStation exclusives that are still being honored by Microsoft buying Bethesda, which I wanted to go into the games, I didn't remember them, but they are Deathloop and Ghostwire. They don't have to honor that deal, but they said that they will. And they are timed exclusives to the PS5 console. So, even though Sony doesn't only says first on PS5, that means that they are timed exclusives. Okay. Super Mario 3D All Stars beats Avengers to number one according to the UK charts. After 2 weeks at the top of the UK charts, the Avengers have been knocked down by another superhero, Mario. A Super Mario 3D All Stars shot straight to number one. Nintendo's bundle featuring HD ports of Super Mario Nintendo 64, Sunshine, and Super Mario Galaxy for the Switch is the third biggest game launch title of the year, after Sony's The Last of Us Part 2 and in Animal Crossing New Horizons. And is the 15th biggest Nintendo game launch of all time, sitting just behind Super Mario Odyssey. And Spider-Man, let's go to the next one. Spider-Man Remastered won't get a physical PS5 release, which is nothing new, but yeah. And also another note, those that I still have the Spider-Man for PS4, and were unsure about the PS5 the not remastered remake, you will be able to bring over your old save game into the new PS5 game, simply because it is not just a remastered game, textures 4K and what have you. It is a remade game, so there are new there are no things in the game that were in there before. That is why your game saves and trophies won't port over to the PS5 version. And there are even new trophies in addition to your old PS4 ones. So if you are unsure or confused, here's some clarification. The Game Awards is coming December 10th as all virtual show, which is not surprising again since COVID and the pandemic. Nintendo accidentally announced a new Kirby game before its official release, which is Kirby Fighters 2. It is essentially a Super Smash Brothers type of game, but with all Kirby's. I don't know why they did that. I guess it's a $20 game. They wanted to kind of make money, but I could have seen them bring like a fighter pass, like a DLC, bringing all those Kirby characters into the Super Smash full-on game. Okay, and to be more specific, Black Widow will arrive in theaters on May 7th of 2021. And here's an update in regards to Microsoft. This was updated 3 days ago on September 24th as of this recording. Microsoft will not announce any studio acquisition didn't announce any Tokyo acquisition at its Tokyo Game Show or Sega or otherwise. Okay, the only thing they pretty much said was that live Xbox Live Play has nearly doubled over a year in Japan, and it will increase support, bring cloud gaming, and what have you. Okay, we talked about Kirby. What's this? Nintendo is being sued for planned obsolescence over the Joy-Con drift. French consumers organization UFC was here announced that it's suing Nintendo for planned obsolescence and anti-consumer practices. In November 2019, the non-profit organization has already issued a warning against the Joy-Con controllers for Switch and their infamous drifting defect, which sees the controllers registering movement even when the player is not actually moving the analog stick. Now they have decided to take action, as it's noted in a press release that while Nintendo has offering free repairs for the issue, it's not changed the way the controllers are manufactured, and is still issuing Joy-Cons that have this defect. So yeah, that's essentially it. They haven't made any changes to manufacturing, but they still are offering free repairs. But still, they could have easily made adjustments because we're bringing more and more speakers onto the market. Okay, before we go into Amazon's Luna, I forgot to mention this a little earlier. Microsoft's Xbox Series, there is a expandable storage card priced at $219.99 for 1 TB. I know people are comparing regular expansion cards, but please don't. This is the latest technology that goes that is on par with what is inside the Microsoft Series next generation consoles. And this is a fair price, and on top of that, it is a not a priority based system, but it kind of has priority based technologies into that SSD. You can use a regular USB drive, but please note that with this expansion, you have those fast SSD speeds, read and write speeds, and what have you. If you use a regular expansion card, you will have to move over your game from the USB drive to your Xbox console to actually see those speeds. If you just run it off of the regular storage drive, you will pretty much see past generation experience. So you will see your games run as an Xbox One essentially. So that is, please keep that in mind. Now let's go on to Amazon's Luna. It's Amazon's own cloud gaming service, and Luna is what happens when you have this subscription model of Prime Video, mash it up with Twitch, plug that into Amazon's web services, and wrap it all in an Alexa powered gamepad. Give me a moment. Wow, I forgot about my coffee. There's just so much news to talk about. We talked about its rival to Microsoft and Google, and it goes in early access in October's subscription starting at $5.99 a month. Players in the US can sign up today, and you may receive an invite via the Amazon. So be sure to check that out to sign up today. Amazon revealed Luna and its low latency gamepad during the company's annual hardware event. They spoke with platform executive and briefly went hands-on with Luna itself ahead of this morning's announcement and gathered a handful of details about the platform, some of which have been underplayed or underlooked in Amazon's own information dump. Okay, so pretty much Let me go into the app. So it is coming to Android and iOS, but not as a native app. It's going to be a web app because Amazon is good at cloud-based services. So essentially, it is going to be via the browser, but it's going to be you could simply pin that to your homepage or to a folder. So that is its way of going around on Android and iOS devices. Oh yeah, and they did partner with Ubisoft as well. So it will have same day release, day and day releases, Far Cry 6, Assassin's Creed Valhalla, and even Immortals Phoenix Rising. And they did it smart. Their hardware is based on NVIDIA, but their software is based on Windows. So that is a smart play to get into this market. Yeah, it's going to a 4K coming soon. So it even said that. Let me go into this further. Give me a second. Let me see. Da-da-da. Okay. So let's go on. We're on Amazon.com's official site. Unlimited hours of gameplay. We have growing library of games up to 1080, 60 frames per second, 4K coming soon. Stream on two devices simultaneously. Play on PC, Mac, Fire TV, and web apps for the iPhone and iPad. And Ubisoft is coming soon. Limited hours of playing, limited editions with DLC for select titles, up to 1080 or 60 frames, up to 4K coming soon. Stream on one device at a time, and play on PC, Mac, Fire TV, and web apps for iPhone and iPad. Okay, let's see. So it is a channel. So what I'm thinking is it's going to be an added subscription if it's not going to be fully integrated like in Xbox Game Pass Ultimate, like EA Play and all these day and day device all these day and day games. Da-da-da. Let's see. Let me see. Let's go to news. We find an article that really explains this. Oh, here it is. This is coming from The Verge. Let me go through this real quick. Da-da-da. Amazon says that more than 100 games will be available via the Luna Plus channel. There you go. And launch titles include Resident Evil 7, Control, Panzer Dragoon, A Plague Tale, Innocence, The Surge 2, Ukulele, Grid, Abzu, and Brothers, A Tale of Two Sons. And more will be added over time. Okay, hold on. Okay, the company has also partnered with Ubisoft for a specific gaming channel. And players who subscribe to this channel will have access to their favorite Ubisoft titles. So it looks like it's gonna be like a dish or a yeah, like a dish or like a regular TV based subscription where you could have HBO, you could have all these different channels, but for an added cost. So that's what I'm seeing this as. So the controller is for $49.99 and during its early access period, not like what Google did Stadia. Okay, let's see what else we got. And with Stadia, you have a subscription, but you still have to buy these games still, which doesn't make any sense. Okay, let's go into another huge news story. Not a huge one, but it's in there. Sega is developing a live action adaptation on the Yakuza based series. And partner with 1212 Entertainment and Wild Sheep Content. Da-da-da. Produced for the script Yakuza. We're pretty much know about Yakuza, but that's pretty much what's going on. So we just have to wait and see. Rocket League surpasses the 1 million player mark for current players as soon as Epic announced that it's going free to play. And speaking of Epic, there is a Llama Rama event going on now, where if you play Rocket League, you'll be able to gain some Fortnite, some Rocket League exclusive content in Fortnite. Da-da-da. Essentially, yeah. What else do we have here? Speaking of live action adaptations, not really, but a Resident Evil CG Netflix series has been announced and is arriving in 2021. Okay, we talked about that. About Rocket League. Okay, in late 2018 and throughout 2019, a number of experienced Blizzard veterans with a decade or more experience apiece were each reaching individual crossroads in their careers. Jason Shias, Dustin Browder, Chris Sigeti, Eric Dodds, and former Blizzard president Mike Morhaime all left the company at different points during that period. Speaking to the games industry database, each says that at the time they didn't really have a particular vision for what they wanted to do. In Browder's specific case, he had a project killed and was beginning to consider his future path. While not all of the others were in that exact situation, the description of his feelings and thought process were echoed by several of the others. Da-da-da. So essentially, what's going on? Dreamhaven was founded and is a new Avern-based game company revealed today that will serve as publishing and support pillar as well as a parent company to two game studios. The first is Moonshot, headed by Shayas Browder and fellow Blizzard veteran Ben Thompson. The other is called Secret Door, led by Sigeti Dot and another ex-Blizzard developer, Ellen DeBerry. The company's still in its early days, of course, but we're gonna maybe a year or two or so until we see what they're gonna be developing and publishing and so on. Did this one last article. A team of 15 former Skullgirls and Lab Zero developers have formed a new employee-owned co-op studio, Future Club. The studio is led by CEO and producer Francesco Esquenazi and also includes Jonathan Kim as a senior animator. Earl Gertwagen as a designer and Mariel Kinoki Cartwright as a creative director. I apologize if I messed their names. Future Club will be an employee-owned co-op studio which will focus on developing its own IPs. We want to start fresh with the company structure that was worker-owned and give everyone a say in the future of our organization, said Esquenazi. A Future Club is established with the belief that strong teams are greater than the sum of their counterparts. We value open, honest communication with peers, partners, and players and take pride in our strength as a team. Now let's check Twitter, see if we have any last minute news stories for you guys. Let's see. Yeah, I'm not seeing anything new. Well, there is a PS4 tournament open series live now on Twitch if you wanted to check that out. Twitch.tv/PlayStation. And a heads up, I mentioned this on the last episode. I was looking for a PS4. I have one coming on the way. I ended up purchasing one off of eBay for pretty cheap. And I won't, me personally, I will not purchase the next generation console simply because at launch it's not really worth it because all these games are going to be cross generational, and on top of that, at least a year or two in of the next generation console's life cycle, games won't be able to fully take advantage of the hardware until a year or so in. So that's why I'm waiting until next year. And then I'm gonna purchase both the PS5 as well as the Xbox Series consoles. Let's see. Da-da-da. Da-da-da-da-da-da. And I kind of like starting the podcast early at 12 o'clock. I feel like 1 o'clock is a little too late. So that's why I'm testing this out. That's why I ended up streaming early. Okay, I don't see anything on Twitter. Let's check my email, see if you got anything there. Nada. And let's check Discord. Oh yeah, you could buy new clothes in Animal Crossing, that Halloween theme. But we'll check that out on stream. And then Call of Duty, day 2 of the Call of Duty World Championships 2020 LATM, or Latino America. Regional playoffs are now live. If you want to check that out. And I'm not seeing anything. So, reader mail. We want to know your feedback, your thoughts, and even any questions that you may have for us by sending us reader mail on our Discord server, by leaving over a voice note at anchor.fm/theimpactplay, or even by sending us an email to readermail@theimpactplay.com. Thank you guys so much for making the Impact Play a part of your day. Be sure to join our Discord and be a part of an ever-growing community where we are more than that. We are a family. You can be a part of the show by leaving a voice note over at anchor.fm/the Impact Play, leaving us a review, or even just a rating on your favorite platform. And let's go ahead and check this. Let's go ahead and check the shop. I'm gonna give you guys a walk around of the studio. Okay, this is my outdoor studio. When I have, and I'm working on bringing guests onto the show as well. So hopefully we'll be able to do more Animal Crossing themed live shows for you all. Guys, please note we are highlighting creators on our creator spotlight within the show. I'm part of the Impact Play. We are highlighting an amazing creator on the show that goes above and beyond to innovate, hack, or even repurpose items that revolve around gaming. You could, to be featured, simply reach out to us on Discord or via email at our creator spotlight at theimpactplay.com. So I think that's it for the show. I think any last minute news stories for you guys. Yeah, that's about it. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. If you enjoy our Animal Crossing news integration into the show, let us know on social. Let us know what you think by leaving a voice note on Discord or even on social. Have a great one, guys. Until next time, stay humble, stay blessed, and stay positive, and stay safe.